Welcome to Around the Jewish World in 613 seconds. Today we are traveling 7,360 miles from Jerusalem, Israel, all the way to Panama City to meet David and Margie, father and daughter. How are you guys doing? What's going on in Panama City?
We're doing well. We've been under quarantine for over 90 days now, but just enjoying the virtual life.
I understand the lockdown's pretty intense in Panama City. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's very intense. We can only go out based on the last digit of our ID. So let's say our ID ends with 6. You can only go out at 6 p.m. Women can only go out Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and men can only go out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And Sundays are fully locked down. No one can go out.
Wow, that's pretty intense. So I'm glad you managed to find some time today on a Sunday to chat to me, because I guess you're stuck at home anyway, so why not speak to the rabbi? Let me find out from you guys, what is it like to be a Jew in Panama? Give me some inside story, please.
Well, it's a very socially cohesive, very enriching experience because we have a lot of educational and ritual opportunities. It's relatively easy to be observant. I'm not that observant, but when you have, I don't know, Margie, what, over 10 kosher restaurants or more?
More, 32.
32. So there
goes
my
your
kosher
daughter knows
daughter.
About the kosher restaurants. You just need the credit card. That's all we need.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of those, and there's really good kosher food stores, like grocery shops,
supermarkets. Yeah,
and they're basically your everything's available if you want to be.
There's more availability of kosher products in Panama than in Israel.
Really? Wow. How many Jewish people do you have in Panama?
We don't have an exact figure for obvious reasons, but I would say it's upwards of 10,000 and going, perhaps, some people say it's really more closer to 15,000. And it has grown both organically and through immigration over the past 10 years, substantially.
So that's quite relatively a low number to have 32 kosher restaurants. That's a pretty well-organized infrastructure. And you have, I guess, how many synagogues do you have and Jewish schools? And tell me more about the infrastructure.
There are, in Panama City proper, there's probably, like 7 synagogues or so, or maybe 6, I don't know. There's 2 synagogues in beach resorts that are within an hour and a half from Panama City. So I'd say there's 8 or 10, between 8 and 10 synagogues.
Now, Margie, this is a question for you. All over the world, there are Jewish young people your age who are looking to get married. I know you recently got married yourself, so mazal tov to you. But in Panama, how generally do the guys and girls meet each other? Is there like a shidduch system, a dating system? Is it more informal? What's that like for young professionals and young people?
I'd say it's more informal. People have a lot of ways to meet each other. There's this thing here where the young people go to the weddings, regardless of them being invited or not. So they meet other young people. I think that's the main way people meet each other, or by introductions. There's no formal way of meeting people, but
I like that. So everyone crashes weddings and meets great people. That's amazing. Is that how you met your husband?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we were groomsmen and bridesmaid together. We walked together down the aisle once. So, and then 5 years later, we saw each other at another wedding, and that's when we started talking, and
let's walk down the aisle again
together. Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. Now, if you could tell me just a little bit about more about the community in terms of what type of demographic you have, David, what type of success you have, what challenges you face. What's it like to live as a Jew in Panama City?
It's very comfortable in the sense that we have a cohesive community, and everyone is committed to certain values. It's not that we all agree in everything. We also agree to disagree on many things, but we are relatively well organized. We have 2 Orthodox congregations. One of them is Ashkenazi, one of them is Sephardic. The Sephardic is by far the largest, and we have a more progressive congregation, which is the oldest congregation in Panama, which was founded in the late 1800s, in 1876, and it's still going. It's also originally Spanish-Portuguese, sort of like David and Margie, the same origin. They are now in a more progressive strand of Judaism, but the majority of Jews in Panama belong to the Orthodox congregations. We have a commitment overall to supporting the state of Israel and institutions that are located in Israel. We feel there's a very tight bond. Our children go to Israel quite often, and so do we. We're very connected with the land of Israel and with the state of Israel, and we're connected with worldwide Jewish institutions like the World Jewish Congress or the American Jewish Committee, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, B'nai B'rith International. So we don't live in a vacuum, in a sense.
It's amazing. These organizations interlink so many Jews around the world. I understand Panama City is supposed to be a very beautiful place. Panama is the only place in the world where you can see the sun rise on the Pacific and set on the Atlantic Ocean. Is it very beautiful? And tell us a little bit about some of the opportunities that people have living there.
Well, Margie can tell you more about nature because she and her husband are nature lovers and they like the outdoors. So do I, but I don't go as often. So Margie can give you more background on the geography and all the sites. Panama City is a very modern city. People tend to compare it a lot to Miami or to Tel Aviv in the sense that it has a lot of high rises and it's by the Pacific Ocean at the entrance of the Panama Canal. It's very well connected to the region by airplane, by boat, of course, by boat. And yes, we are within a 35-minute drive of the Atlantic Ocean, even though we're sitting on the Pacific Ocean. So, you know, I could be glancing at the Pacific Ocean in 2 minutes and then hop on a car and be on the Atlantic Ocean in another 35 to 40 minutes. So it's really good. It's really fun.
Do you experience any anti-Semitism in Panama?
Yes, we do, but I have to qualify that. It's not the overt type. You know, it's very seldom do we hear people expressing overt anti-Jewish feelings, although when there's certain incidents go on, and many a times when matters go on in Israel, we get some backlash. But other than when we do things that are not looked upon properly by the rest of society, when they focus on us as Jews, we feel pretty safe or pretty removed from the type of anti-Semitism that you see in places like Europe or even the United States. We're very conscious about threats, and we have mechanisms in place to ensure our safety and to protect us from anti-Semitic attacks.
I mean, how many generations have you and your family been living in Panama, and how did you end up there?
That's a great question. The question is, should I go on my mother's side or on my father's side? On my mother's side,
you have 60 seconds, so you choose.
Oh wow, that's a tough one. On my mother's side, 3 of my great-grandparents were born in Panama.
Oh, wow.
They were children of immigrants, and they had come from the Caribbean, and they are Spanish-Portuguese, of Spanish-Portuguese descent. So I would be, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th generation born in Panama. And my children are 5th generation born in Panama on that side. And on my father's side, I'd be 2nd generation because my grandparents immigrated to Panama.
Marge, do you see your future in Panama? Or would you say many of the younger people are thinking of making Aliyah, moving to Israel? What's your plans?
I think in everyone's plans, there's always that time of your life where you think the best decision is to go to Israel to wait for the Mashiach there. But But I think, yes, I see my future here. I think it's a great place to raise kids. It's a very safe and comfortable place to live. And I mean, who doesn't want to live right by the beach, right?
Absolutely. Especially you've got the Atlantic beach and the Pacific beach. Why not? Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if I was to come to Panama and spend Shabbat with you guys, would you have any typical local food on your table? Would you have anything that kind of tells me that I'm in Panama?
Well, you're likely going to get some sort of plantain-based recipe. Plantains is a very versatile fruit, which is I say it's the eldest cousin of the banana, which is a much bigger banana, and it's starchier and has more consistency. So it's a very noble fruit. You can cook it for savory dishes and for sweet dishes when it ripens. So you can use it as yams when they're ripe. Like, you know, imagine a banana, you cook a banana. So
I'd have some banana kiggle if I came to your house.
Well, something similar to that. And it's a very tasty and very nutritious fruit.
Hearts of palm also.
Hearts of palm also. And there's actually a machloket as to which bracha you should say about a heart of palm, because you're actually eating the tree. You're not eating the fruit of the tree. And
I did not know that.
You'll have it in your Shabbat meal, so you'll wash anyway for challah, and then problem solved.
Yeah, that's it. That we probably have it on Shabbat so that we don't have to have a fight over which blessing to say.
Can I ask you, Margie, in a sentence, what does it mean to you to be a Jew?
I think being a Jew means being a light among the nations and being the good in the world. It also means tradition. It means spirituality. It means ¿cómo digo? Apego.
To be connected.
Connection to the land of Israel, which would translate into Zionism. It means, yeah, that's I just told you the main words, I think.
Being a Jew means a commitment to a higher goal in life, to spreading the word of God, making the world more human, and caring for each other, and caring not only for our Jewish brethren, but for humanity, and realizing that we're all made in the image of God, that we connect first with our families, then with our communities, and then with mankind. I think it's
today you're connecting with the whole Jewish world, because I find it amazing that we have brothers and sisters living all over the world. There you are in Panama, many, many thousands of miles away from me, but yet we have so much in common, from Shabbat, Kashrut, a Jewish way of life, our ancestors, the state of Israel. We have so many common links. Do you have a message to the Jews around the world who are going to be watching this?
Welcome to Panama. You're always invited here. You have a home away from home. Shabbat table happens every Friday. You are more than welcome to join us.
Well, we need to remain faithful to our God and to our people and to mankind. We must do what's good. We must choose life, like the Torah says, in the sense that we must focus on gemilut hasadim, which means doing good for the sake of doing good. And in the process, we should strengthen our faith in God, our devotion to the Torah, and our devotion to observing the rituals which guide us to those principles that I mentioned earlier.
I must say, Margie and David, this has been a real pleasure. I look forward to meeting you one day, and I wish you ongoing success. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Rabbi. Nice meeting you as well.